So you just sat down to paint, squeezed out all your paint, ready to go. You got your reference, great reference. Been looking forward to painting this for a while, but you're half an hour into it, you're an hour into it, and all of a sudden it's just this one big mess. It's almost all the same value. What do? Well, I got this next demo here to show you how to take care of that within the first 20 minutes. So let's get started. All right, so the first thing I want to show you really quickly is this image of a Leonardo da Vinci bust. And I broke it down from a simple full value scale to just two values, black and white. So it's basically the light family and the shadow family. All right, so I got my paint all squeezed out. I am ready to go. I got my page here in my sketchbook, pretty much grounded, blocked in with just something warm, real simple. The question I need to ask before I get on this is, are you guys having trouble with getting the light family, the shadow family established soon enough in your painting so that you can work on some of the mid values and get your painting really established without trying to get all these forms to move in from one family to the next. So the light family, the shadow family. So I'm going to start off, and it's going to be a portrait. I really, really enjoy doing portraits here. So, and I love demoing for you guys to get a little bit of knowledge on what's going on. So, and as far as color goes and all that kind of fun stuff, I'm not a big fan of being so particularly set on these, perfect colors. Match this color, get this color. Don't worry about all that. Just paint. Value is way more important than anything else, as far as I'm concerned. And I think getting all of that established first is much better overall than trying to get this, match this perfect flesh tone, because there really is no perfect flesh tone. So here I'm just throwing on a little bit of blues, a little bit of violets, and there's some greens in here, just to have fun. Like I said, I don't really care about so much about the color of what's happening. I care about the planes and the values of what's happening. And then back and forth with some temperatures. I'm having a little bit of fun here with cools and warms, and just establishing some things here and there. Here again, I want my shapes to happen pretty much naturally, and I want everything to be established without trying to be so polished at this point. We always make jokes in class about putting the eyelashes in first. Well, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble, and as everybody knows, paintings is just a series of fixing mistakes. So you put in those eyelashes first, and you really got yourself into a lot of problems, and you're just gonna backtrack, just gonna start to get too much detail in at first. See those big shapes, see I'm trying to see shadow side, light side of what's happening in this figure's face, and try to establish right away where my light source is. So, and as you can see, just in the first few minutes here, you can already tell that here's my light source coming from this left side, and he is mostly in shadow, 3/4 in shadow, and just that little bit of rim light source. So I'll start to establish more as I go. But at this point, just shadow and light. And here again, not concerned about color. I'm a little bit more concerned about temperature. I'm a little bit more concerned about my value of my color notes, instead of trying to get this perfect color. And like I said, in a lot of this, I'm just more concerned about my value changes. I'm trying to get a little bit of light source, established, get those shadow shapes established, and then polish, and then go after some more fun stuff. But at this point, just really simple shapes. I'm not trying to be too polished. Keep it nice and stroke work, with your brush. Here again, I'm not trying to blend anything. Just get those lights established, get those shadows established, and then work from there. And at a certain point, you can start to polish things, but just don't get too ahead of yourself. Because then after that, you're just fixing mistakes. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to constantly be trying to move things again or fix what's going on here and there. I would just rather establish these bigger shapes first, like this cheekbone right here. Get that established, get that light source in there. Top of the ear. A little bit of that cheekbone. That muscle in his cheek right there. A little bit off his nose. He's got a slight mustache. And then shapes. Just kind of feel that bone structure underneath there. I'm going to establish now the little bit of a warmer light source. Really try to capture that intensity of that light. Just little hits here and there. See those planes. And, and I'll come back and polish up and, I'll start to work this and get this a little bit more established. But at this point, just get those lights, get those shadows down. Now I'm going to go into some really dark darks here. Probably 1 being white, 10 being black. I'm going to start to go off into maybe some value 9s. And what I usually like to do is I like to pop in the iris. Come over here and, see where this other one is, just sitting right there. Pop that in with that nice, rich, dark. I'm going to warm up a little bit of my dark here as I start to establish some of that eye socket. Come down the nose right here, that bone, there will be a little bit of a firmer edge right at that bone. And as it gets down to the cartilage, that's when it's going to soften up. So if you notice, I'm pressing a lot lighter here at the ball of the nose. Get a little bit of the lips established there just to kind of tell me where that mouth is, so that when I go in with some of these final notes, I can get it, without having to correct so much later on. And here again, painting is just a series of fixing mistakes. So when you get in there, don't be so hard on yourself. If a couple of things are a little out of place, you can always adjust them. He's got some pretty big ears. So I'm gonna get that just kind of knocked out a little bit here, somewhat established. You know, really loose. Make sure that they line up, right? You don't want anything off. So as I'm doing this, I'm always constantly looking left to right and up to bottom there. You know, just those plumb lines, right? And level lines, always seeing where everything relates to each other. After I get that established, I can go in with bigger shapes to make sure that these smaller shapes and everything all line up. It's a nice rich dark, so I'm just gonna put some of that in the background. He's got a white shirt on. I don't think I'm going to put that on there because I think that kind of takes away from the light of his face right in here. And I think that's really nice, actually, this glow that he has coming from there. Now is where I'll get into some of the darker halftones. Start to establish those, get some of that mapped out. And then I can really start to dial in smaller shapes and form and get that established enough to where I can go towards finish. Here now I'm just gonna get a little bit more of a warmer mid-tone down there in the cheek, in the fatty part of the cheek. I like this color, so I'm gonna pop a little bit of it in the cartilage of his ear there. Because that glow will come right through the cartilage of his ear. Develop a little bit more of this cheek down in here, these muscles. A little bit in the ball of the nose there. Come down the septum. Septum's a little darker because that curls underneath. And you have the glabella right here, right in between the eyes. Get nice and soft. Let's get back up into that forehead again, and I'll have a little smoother transition coming this way. Want to get a little bit of warmth in the shadow side of the face here. So just a same shadow mixture, but I'm just going to add a little bit of cad red medium and maybe a little bit of burnt sienna here and there, but we'll get a nice warm reflective light here. Pop a little bit in the ear. And then let's get down in that chin. I like to see a little bit of red in the chin. All right, and at this point, I feel like everything is pretty solid. Do I have a ways to go? Sure, I do. But that's okay. You know, it's not a race. I'd rather get everything established and feel pretty confident with the drawing. That's a little bit too light there, so let's try it over here. I think it'll look good over here. That's better over there. But yeah, I like to get that drawing established, you know, before I get too crazy with detail, too crazy with you know, strokes everywhere and all that kind of stuff. I just want to build it slowly here. You know, like I said, it's not a race. I'm gonna go back in and establish a little bit more of my light source here and there. He's got a pretty wrinkly forehead. I just want to indicate it without it going to be too crazy with it or too uniformed. I've got it a little bit too uniformed right now, so I can just break it up a little bit here. Let's get into a little bit smaller shapes now. I'm gonna go into his eyeballs, get those established. I love doing eyeballs and getting them all set up, and then I kind of explode out from there. You know, and as I'm putting this stuff on, I'm still thinking my drawing, making sure everything is where it should be. You know, if you need to chop into something, go ahead, chop into it. This can be a little softer here because that ear goes behind that cheekbone. And then back into the eye. Now off to the other eye. And here again, drawing that level line across, making sure that I've got it in the right spot. You don't want the eye, you know, one eye lower than the other one, and just get that drawing just right. And that nostril wing is usually right below the tear duct. Kind of a general statement, but in you know, when you're looking at your model, make sure that, you know, it's exact to your model. But right at this point, I can see right there, they line up. Back and forth, you know, adjusting here and there. I want to get a lot of this taken care of here. The small little midtones now that are starting to come into play. Get a little bit of dark underneath here for this cheek. That little bit of cheek muscle that's happening right there. Got a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow happening there. I don't want to get too crazy with that type of detail, but my whole key here is I want to make sure that I keep that light source, really nice, strong light source. Just going over that light source again, just kind of popping in the finals because I'm about finished here. You know, I just wanted to do a little quick study for you guys to show you how you can get that light established right away. You know, and make sure that as you're developing your figure, your planes, that you develop them, you know, according to the two families, the light family and the shadow family. So when you know where they're at right away, there's a lot of times that you can paint what you know instead of what you're seeing. I like to paint sometimes what I know because I'm trying to dig in and, you know, reach into those far tucked away files of, you know, color theories and value studies of something that makes it look a little bit nicer, more like a painting instead of just a, you know, this copied rendering. I think the last couple little pushes on the eye. Here again, I like making the eyes a little bit more realistic, but like I said, this is just a nice quick sketch to show everybody, you know, the difference between getting a really nice quick mapped out light family and mapped out shadow family. Get those established, and then a lot of this other stuff will fall right into place. But you know, you really need to get this all this light established, all the shadows established, so that you can really get in at the end here and have some fun with that detail and get those smaller notes established here and there. But all in all, I'm happy with the way this is turning out here. It's just a simple little sketch, but I really have a nice sense of my light and my shadow now. And that's what hopefully that's what I came across to teach everyone here. Let me finish up that other eye and then we'll go get some lunch. I don't know if you can hear my stomach growling on the microphone, but it's growling away, so it's time for lunch. And then when I have a painting like this that I think use a little bit more glow on the outside, I'll take a brush with, you know, a nice warm light source, because that's what I have. But I'll take that and maybe dry brush a little bit of it here and there and give that a little bit of a glow back there. And you can also do it when the painting's wet. I mean, since I'm working on the paper here, it's pretty, the paper's soaking it up really fast. I'm working with oils. There we go. Get a nice glow happening. A couple more soft edges, just a little bit here on the cartilage of the nose. I like to soften anything that has a turn to it, a nice, soft, gentle turn. So I don't want too hard of an edge there. Same with this here. Just a nice, soft touch, just to get that edge to turn just that little bit. I don't want hard edges on both sides of my stroke. So if you look at the nose over here, look at how hard that edge is right there. But then coming over to this edge on the other side of the bone of the nose, it's softer. So it rolls across there. You know, and then anywhere else, if you want to take your brush and just give it a little bit of dab here and there, just to get that soft feel of that edge. Same with underneath the septum here. I want that to turn underneath and go into the face. So anything like that will get a little bit softer feel. Okay. I think that's it. Other than, you know, anything me really getting into this and, you know, going crazy with it. But all I'm doing is softening some edges up here and there. If anything, for me, if I have anything in the painting that starts to detract away from the light source, I try to knock it back a little bit so that it's not so attention getting. You know, but a lot of this over here on this side would just all be shadow and just kind of disappear. Have fun making it disappear. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed that and you really caught on fast to what I was talking about with just a simple light family, shadow family sort of thing, and then find all that fun stuff in between. And if you haven't subscribed, please do so. It really helps my channel, and share it. You might have a friend out there who could use this demo to maybe get a little better with their work. So thank you once again, and if you have any comments or questions, go ahead and put them in there because I do answer and read them all. Thank you very much.